Hello, my name is Johan van der Heijden and I am ICT Manager at ITEA, and in this presentation I will explain you the guidelines for preparing a project outline. The outline of this talk is that I first will show you the differentiations we make at ITEA between the PO, so the project outline, and the full project proposal. At ITEA we use a distinction between online and offline inputs, and the online inputs are handled via the ITEA websites, which I will explain to you in more detail in this talk. I will also show you the Pio Annex Template and explain the guidelines which are important to use this Pio Annex Template, and I will conclude the talk by explaining to you how to submit a project via the ITEA website. So at the PO phase, at ITEA we have a two-stage process. We have a PO stage and an FPP stage. And at the PO stage we ask you to create a PO with a convincing story and also to explain the push innovation for actual market impact. So it's important that you explain what the market impact will be of this project, and also we ask you to explain the concept of the project and also the relevance of the selected consortium. It's very important that you also present clear objectives for the project. When the project is accepted for FPP, at the FPP stage we ask you to refine the project outline based on the feedback you will get from the evaluation committee, and also to extend the proposal by proposing a convincing realization plan. As I said, we have a distinction between online and offline input, and the online input is all handled via the ITEA website. And first of all, what we ask online is what we call the general project information. So that's the title of the project and also a project description and also the duration of the project. What's also handled online is the overview of all the partners and also the overview of all the work packages. We also ask to give a detailed overview of the planned cost and effort, and also an overview what per country what the rationale for public funding will be in every single country which is active in the project. And finally, also the submission of the project is handled online. What's handled in an offline situation is that we only in the offline part, so in the Word file, it's only global project information. There will be no detailed partner information asked and no detailed country information asked, because that part is fully covered in the online part of the project submission. What will happen when the project is submitted is that the online partner work package and country information, so all the detailed information per item, will be merged in the Word file, resulting in one single project proposal document. And that's what we call the project outline. The project outline annex is a Word file, which means that you can use rich text and images and tables. And that's the reason why there is a two-step process or a twofold process, online and offline, to allow you to use rich text and images in the project proposal for the global project information part. It's the project leader who can upload the PO Annex to the website and also can test the merge as many times as he wants to see and to preview the final PO document. What will happen during submission is that the project leader will choose the final document, submit that as together with all the online data, and the system will create a merged document, and this merged document will after submission be treated and verified by the office and sent to the reviewers to be reviewed and finally accepted for the second phase. So if you make it more visual, so we have the online input, which is most of the times administrative and also on partner level. It's all handled online. And we have the offline input, which is just a Word document. And finally, it will be merged into a merged proposal, which we call the project outline. And this document is also read-only, which means that it's not needed to edit in the merged, it's not possible to edit in the merged document. you only can edit the Pio Annex itself, re-upload the new version, and then create a new merged version, but that will be handled again later in this presentation. So going into more detail about the ITEA websites, we have introduced this year a new menu item which we call the Call Index page. It's visible as the first menu item on a community website, and it gives you an overview of all the relevant information of the current call. So we have made a timeline where you can see all the relevant dates, and it gives you also direct access to your projects and your project IDs, which we have called My Projects and My Projects ID of the current call. And it's you can also create here new project or new project IDs. And what we also have created a few years ago is what we call the project help, and it's an online help with relevant frequently asked questions per topic. The help is also always accessible via a menu on the right side or the project pages on the community side, but there are also direct links to relevant help topics via the light blue buttons. So what you can see on the little image on the bottom is that, for example, on the My Project page, there is a direct link to the submission help in which the submission process is explained in more detail. The best way to create a new project is to do it directly from the project ID. So when you have a project ID filed in the ITEA project ID tool, and once the call is open, there will be a blue button on the screen in which you can click, and then a form will be created where you can directly transfer your project ID into a PO. And the system will ask you who will become the project leader, which partners will be joining in the project, and also will ask you to define a start and an end date. And when these items have been selected, the system will automatically create an ID. And the benefit of doing this is that it's easy and faster, and you don't need to re-invite all the partners in your ID. So we strongly encourage, if possible, to transform an ID into a project. Of course, when you don't have an ID, there are also ways to just create a project without an existing ID. And there are two places where this can be done. First of all, this can be done on this call overview page using the large plus on the My Projects part. There's also a button on the community index page under My Projects, where you can select the where you can also find this button to create a new project form. When you press one of these buttons, you will be shown an empty form. You need to complete this form to create a new project. A new element is that we have introduced a quick start. Once the project has been created, there is a blue box on top of the project, where you can see all the steps which needs to be taken before the project can be submitted. And in this presentation, I will go over each of these steps and explain to you what you should do and how the system will help you to complete the project outline before it can be submitted. The first step is that you should edit and create your edit your consortium. So you need to invite new partners to your project, and the way you add new partners is via an invitation system. So when you go to the partner tab, you have on the top, a box called Invite New Partner, and here you can select an email address of an employee of the company which you want to invite to the system, to the project. So don't use an info or a general address of the organization, but please only invite an employee or a person of the company itself via his direct email address. So when you do so, the person will receive an email on behalf of you where he is asked to click a link which bring him to our system, to the ITEA system, and he can accept or decline the invite. So once he have clicked the link, the deep link in the mail, he will be shown this form where you can choose to either accept or to decline the invitation. When the person accepts the invitation, this page will be shown to the person, and what happened is that the partner is added to the list of active partners. This process can be repeated many times. It should be repeated as many times as partners needs to be added. So for every organization which should be active in the project, an invite can be sent. It can also happen that two persons of the same organization will be added to the project and will be invited. The first one will automatically be assigned as technical contact of that organization and will not have the choice to join as another in another way. But when, for example, a second person of this organization is added to the consortium, the invitee needs to select in which role he will be. And that's here via this join method choice. He can, for example, become an additional contact. So he doesn't have any edit rights, but he can just look in the project and check the progress. Or he can become the main technical contact and replace the existing technical contact. He can become the financial contact, which is important in a later phase. Once the project has been labeled, we also need a financial contact of every organization. Or, and that's the last choice, he can become a new partner, which means that the organization is twice active in a project, which sometimes happens for larger organizations with several departments. For every partner which is added to the consortium, it's important that online the information will be completed. And if you go to the partner page, you will see that we, for example, want to that the system requests to complete the description of the partner in the project, but also, and I will come back to that later, the position on the value chain, the main contribution of that partner, and the strategic importance of the partner of this partner in the project, and also the market access. So for every single partner in the project, this information should be filled out online and can be done via the system. Finally, every partner should submit an LOI, so that's called a letter of intent. And we have introduced next to the paper version, which can be downloaded and signed online, manually scanned in and then uploaded. We also have now a self-signed digital version of the letter of intent, which is on the bottom of this page, where you only need to accept the sentence over there by checking the checkbox and then sign and submit the NDA. This, of course, is much shorter and easier for every partner to do. An important note is that when a partner should be deactivated from the project, which can be done by editing the project and then press deactivate, this is only possible when a partner has no cost and effort in the project. So it's important that if a partner should be deactivated from a project, that all the cost and effort of this specific partner is set to 0. Otherwise, it will not be possible to deactivate the partner. A second step which should be done is that for every country in the project is that the funding rationales should be updated. The system will, for every partner which has accepted the invite, check if the country is already active. If so, it will do nothing, but if a new country is added, it will automatically add a new country to the country overview. And for every country, it's important that the rationale for public funding is given. And that also the country coordinator will be assigned per country in the project. You can do that by clicking the little edit icon behind the country over here, and then you will see this form. And it's important that you read the help text which is written below the form to clearly know what we expect to see in this form. And also here it's possible to edit the country coordinator, and the list of contacts in this list will be all the people which are active in the project for this specific country. So it can be either any person for any organization active in the country in the project. The next step will be that you should create the work packages, and this can be done via the work packages tab. It's just a matter of writing the name of the work package and select the work package leader and press the submit button, and the system will create the work package. So this process should be repeated as many times as work packages are needed. It's important to mention that the order of the work packages can be changed via drag and drop. And you should use the little bars handle, so the icon in front of the work package, to select and to drag the work package to the new location and change the order. So for example, if you change the order in this way, you will see that work package 2 is now the first one and work package 1 is the second one. What will happen is that the system will automatically renumber, but it's only visible after the refresh of the page. So the renumbering is done automatically by the system. When you have defined your consortium and you have defined your work packages, you should now edit your cost and effort of the project. And this can be done on multiple places. It can be done on project level, and that's possible if you go to the cost and effort tab on the project general project page and then clicking the edit cost and effort page. Then you will see this form, which is tabbed, so there are several tabs. The cost is the main tab and is required. It's for every partner you should at least give cost. It's in kilo euros, so in thousands of euros. And also there are, for every work package, there are tabs where you give the person year, so the effort per partner per work package. It's also possible in the latest version of the software to do the cost and effort per partner. So this is a screenshot of the edit cost and effort page of a partner in a project, where you see the cost and the effort in one page for this partner. So the cost is again for the whole project per year, and the effort is for every partner per year per work package. So it's important to fill out this complete form because for every single partner there should be at least cost and effort in the project. That also means that when a new partner is added to the consortium later, that the cost and effort figure should be updated every time. It's also possible to directly edit the work package effort, because the work package have no cost per year, on the work package page. This can be done here via edit in place, which means that you only need to click on the figure that's recognizable by the green color and the dotted underlined line. If you click on the number, you will see a little pop out. You can type in the value for the effort, and then you click on the green check, and then the value is saved. It's not needed to fully reload the screen here. It will be directly saved in the database. The last phase of the project proposal is the upload of the Pio Annex document. So it's the offline document containing all the general project information. And this is possible on the project management. The drop down will give you then the project management page, as you can see here, indicated by the orange box. We have uploaded the latest version of the Pio Annex template, which is released in August 2018, and that can be found here on the link just next to the upload button. It will always be possible to upload this Annex template in several versions, so I strongly encourage to also upload work in progress versions to check if the merge is successful and to see if everything still looks as you expect. So the merge can be checked as many times as you want by just uploading a Word document and clicking on the little merge preview button. If you click on this file, on this button, you will get a Word version of the document where all the online input and the offline input are merged into one single file. Please note that you cannot use this file to edit your document. You should always use the annex file where the merged data is not merged in, where only the placeholders are visible. As I said, it's possible to upload multiple Pio Annex documents. What will happen is when you submit the project, the system asks you to select the correct version of the Pio Annex template. During the project, we have a so-called project checklist, which will help you to complete your project. So that means that during the PO formation, it will show you the required actions or the useful actions, and they have been indicated in blocking issues, so issues which should be solved before submissions, and they are indicated with a red triangle, or you will have the non-blocking warnings, something which should be done, but are not necessarily done for the submission of the project. And they are indicated by an orange exclamation mark, which we call a non-blocking warning. So when you start your project, you will see, for example, that here in this screenshot, for the 2 partners which are active in the project, there is no project description. There is no rationale for the specific countries. There are no cost and effort. But as we have walked through the different steps in the quick start, each of these blocking issues will disappear, and then finally it will be only some non-blocking warnings left, which can also be removed, of course, which should also be removed, but does not block you anymore to submit the project. And then the system will indicate that all the checks are successful, and then you can submit your project outline via the green submission button on the bottom of the page. So this concludes the part about the online input, except for the submission. So now we will go into more detail about the Pio Annex template. As I said, that's a Word file. It can be downloaded from the system or from the ITEA website. And it has a foreword, which I strongly encourage to read, because it explains and tells the length limits which we have introduced, and also, if you want, how to use Google Documents. It's possible to use Google Documents, but it's not possible to use the Google Docs file to submit it. So we have explained in the foreword how to make use of Google Documents to share the share the creation of the document. We also have information about the quality we expect, and also about the value chain, and some instructions for the merge of the document. The Pio Annex has a structure where some chapters are key holder chapters. So that means that these chapters are there because the database at the ITEA website will use these chapters to merge the data in. That's the project key data chapter, which is not numbered. Also, chapter 4, it's called the Rationale for public funding. It's there to all the cost and all the partners and all the country rationale data will be merged in. And then we have also an Annex A, where a summary of all the cost and effort breakdown will be given. There's also an Annex B, and that describes in detail what we expect for the market value chain of chapter 2.2.1. And please note that this chapter, you can leave it in, but it will be deleted after project submission. It's important to know that this Pio Annex template has built-in Word styles, and it's important to keep those and do not modify them. We have defined markups for headings, and also for font styles and for tables. So please, if you use tables, please make sure that you use the ITEA styling, and also don't change the style of the tables and the style of the headings. And the reason that's so important is when you don't change it and you keep your document as it is, it automatically gives a nicely looking and good layouted document which can be sent to the reviewers. If you open the document, you will see that it contains orange text boxes and green text boxes, and the orange text boxes are placeholders for auto-generated content. So they will be removed by the submission by the tool, and you can simply leave them in. The green boxes are placeholders, provide instructions for the chapter. You can also leave them in because they will be removed by the system during submission. So that means that you don't need to worry about these elements, about these green boxes, and of course it's important to read the content as it gives you instructions about the current chapter. When you finally merge the document, you will see that it automatically creates a nice looking, uniformly styled document where all the online and offline data are merged into one final document which can be sent to the reviewers. Some more details about the content of the Pio Annex is that we have introduced a so-called market value chain. And the way I want to show and explain this market value chain is by using a small example. Imagine that you have a secured mobile video streaming service provider and you want to put it on the market. Of course, how is the value chain positioned? First of all, you need to have a cloud provider, because that provides you the infrastructure for this secured video streaming service provider. Of course, you also need some kind of encryption in this market value chain, because that provides the security overlay. You also will need something like a 4G or LTE network provider to give you because it's of a service and selling point for this streaming service provider. And on the other side, it provides you the bandwidth. On the outside of the value chain, you will have your end users, because they need to adapt to the system, and you will have the regulations which provide you constraints. So each of these elements should be described in the PO, because it's important that your full market chain is covered and explained. Next to the market value chain, you also have the technology value chain. So using the same example of the streaming service provider, you will have something like cloud compression. So you will need to use mobile apps, or mobile apps will use your technology. So that's part of the technology which is part of the value chain here. You will also have a high performance computing platform which you need. Again, here the encryption is part of your technology, and you will need some kind of a compression algorithm or a compression optimization algorithm that uses models and frameworks and also simulation to test and to optimize the algorithm. You might even need artificial intelligence or real-time profiling. And that's all part of your technology which should be covered in the value chain. And this technology value chain should be covered in the project proposal. If you have your consortium, it's also important that you describe the consortium market access, and you can do an analysis of the market. For example, to show the current market situation, or the expected trends in the market, or also competitor strategies. And that also introduces elements like threats of new entrants, or substitutes, or market opportunities, or business expectations. On the other side, you'll have innovation, of course. So what are the existing products? What is current state of the art? Or what are current trends in the technology? Part of this is, of course, explained in the ITEA Living Roadmap, and that will also be a useful source of information for your PO. You can do upstream research, or technology disruptions, or develop new concepts, or new combination of technologies, of course. That can also be part of innovation. And you should, of course, think global. At PO phase, we also ask clear objectives and clear outputs. And examples of clear outputs are that you develop a novel algorithm, or that a new software architecture is defined, or that you contribute or develop a new open source library, or produce a demonstrator, or even a prototype, or that you contribute to other standards. Can be any kind of these, thing of this kind, but it should be clear. It should be a clear objective and should have a clear output. And they should, of course, be tangible and realistic and ambitious. How to quantify these can be, of course, the consumption of GPU power, or memory, or heat, or it can be the frame rate, or it can be performance of the algorithm, or scalability, or maturity. At the PO stage, we only ask you to provide the structure of the project and also the milestones of the project. If you have done this and you are finally to the project submission, it's important that you have completed the checklist before the PO can be submitted. And then that's shown when the green submission button is active and visible on the project outline page. If you click on that, this green submission is also visible on the project management tab. And when no project has been submitted yet, you will see that the system warns you that you should at least submit a project version before the deadline. If you click on this submit project, you will be forwarded to this page where the system asks you to select the correct version of the Pio Annex document. And then if you have selected the right one and then press create, the system will create a version, transfer the cost and effort figures and all the partners in the version, and also create a merged document. And then the system is in the so-called submitted state, where it says that all the checks are that the latest version has been submitted. But what we often see and what we often also encourage is that you will have changes after submission, which is of course possible, and updates to the project can be done as many times as you want. But it's important that when you have an update that you always submit a new version. And the system will also show you that there is a version submitted, but there are also updates, so you should submit a new version. And it's important to mention that the latest submitted version before the deadline will be the final version. And we cannot stress enough that you can submit as many POs as you want, as many times as you want before the submission deadline. So there's no need to wait before the deadline to submit, because as long as the PO phase is open, you can still submit new versions of the PO of the project outline. This concludes my talk. Thank you for your attention, and feel free to contact the office in case of further questions or remarks. Thank you very much.